Everything Evander Holyfield does in this fight starts with the left. He's got to jab his way in. Cannot step to the right. You have to go to the left to beat James Toney. And one of the most important weapons will be his vaunted double left hook. Perhaps the best example of this came against Michael Moore in their second fight, when Holyfield used these weapons to dominate Moore. First the left to the body, then the head. That's the prototype for what he needs to do against Toney. James Toney is a very good counterpuncher off the ropes, and he can be there sometimes, but he can't stay there all through this fight. Combinations are vital. His hand speed is what's supposed to make the difference for him. And the counter right will be an important weapon against Evander Holyfield. Holyfield comes in sometimes with his left hand low, as Vasily Girov is here, and then the straight right hand could be a big weapon for James Toney. This is a punch that should be available to him.
So the crowd settling in for Evander Holyfield versus James Toney. You got to also mention the intangibles after the keys to victory, like Evander Holyfield's uncanny will and unyielding faith. But has time finally run out on this certain future Hall of Famer? James Toney offers an emphatic yes. Now all he has to do is back it up. James Toney, last we heard, a slight favorite as he gets ready to come out of the dressing room and toward the ring. Brash, outspoken, really brings the attitude, the game face. In listening to Toney, you realize that James Toney's favorite fighter is James Toney. He is on a mission to prove his critics wrong, that he will win this fight, which will then lead to a heavyweight title.
Right, nice out time. History, baby, history.
He's been talking a lot of trash, saying he's got a bloody Holyfield, put him to sleep, retire him, predicting a knockout within 7 rounds. If he fights half as well as he talks, this could be a great fight. He's had a roller coaster career, once considered one of the best pound-for-pound fighters in the world. Then he ballooned in weight, looked listless against Roy Jones, blamed his problems on his then exorbitant lifestyle. But he is back in the spotlight, motivated after resurrecting his career against Vasily Girov. And like Holyfield, he's taken on many of his era's top fighters, including Roy Jones, Iran Barkley, Montel Griffin, Michael Nunn, Reggie Johnson, Mike McCallum. He's won 12 straight, including 7 knockouts. The win over Girov, his first world title in nearly 9 years after holding belts at 160 and 168. And now positioning himself for boxing's ultimate prize, the heavyweight championship, a more attainable goal these days in light of the division's state of flux. Hearing it, I would say, rather mildly from the crowd as he comes into view. They're saving, I think they're saving it for Holyfield. If Holyfield is boxing's righteous warrior, Al, Toney is the sport's prodigal son, and perhaps Lazarus as well. With all of his bravado in the fight buildup, how much of the burden of proof is on James Toney?
I'll tell you what, the last time James Toney was in the spotlight like this was over a decade ago against Roy Jones Jr. He was filled with as much bravado then. He was equally as loquacious. He also had issues of conditioning then, as we wonder if he has now, coming in at 217 pounds. So, yes, the burden of proof is on him very much, coming up in weight. And can James Toney handle this big moment on the stage? And is he in the right shape for this fight? He'll answer those questions in a few minutes.
He was working out to shed some extra baggage as recently as this afternoon in the hotel workout room.
His best fights in the last 5 or 10 years have come in his last couple when he weighed 190 pounds. He weighs 217 tonight. But he says, don't be a naysayer. I know better. I can fight it this way. And if he can, God bless him.
You really have to wonder if this fight goes into the later rounds, if that will affect his conditioning, if he is indeed out of shape to some degree, and also will it affect his speed and quickness. The fact that he came in several pounds over what his team wanted. They wanted him to be closer to 200. He came closer to 220.
And much has been made of the fact that a lot of that weight was due to weightlifting. Will it slow his hand speed? Which is, of course, an important part of his attempt at winning this fight.
And Evander Holyfield, this is nothing new in the sport of boxing, is going to make him wait and make him sweat it out, make him think about it as long as possible. How many times has Holyfield been written off by the naysayers only to come back again and again? He's on a crusade to demonstrate that you never give up. He's not even out yet, and the fans who see him on the big screen are cheering. He believes, despite the age process perhaps slowing him down, that another heavyweight title and even the undisputed championship is truly his destiny. Always reserved, gracious, spiritual, very much at peace with himself. The only heavyweight in history to win a world title 4 separate occasions. Known worldwide for his extraordinary warrior spirit, incredible heart, and fearlessness. Al, he says the only way he'll retire if someone beats him up. Until then, he'll continue his quest for a 5th belt. Despite a 10-month layoff, his advanced stage surgery on his left shoulder, which could affect his best and perhaps most important weapon against a guy like Tony. The fact he's won only 2 of his last 7 and comes off a one-sided loss, he's still the sentimental favorite.
You know, being reborn is not an abstract idea at all for Evander Holyfield, because he feels he's been reborn. Well, physically, the question is, will that surgery on his left arm and shoulder make him a fighter who is reborn? He cannot function in this fight without the jab and the left hook. Before, when he was talking to Jim Gray, he didn't make a compelling case that he feels confident that it's going to be okay, though he has in other days leading up to this fight. So it'll be interesting to see. And by the way, Evander Holyfield, of course, is singing. He sings when he comes in the ring, but he looks a little more subdued than I've seen him in recent fights.
Does this old warhorse have left, knowing he not only needs to win, but win impressively? For the 47th time in his pro career.
And we know who the crowd favorite is in this fight. A pensive Evander Holyfield, though, coming in. That was fascinating to me. I don't know that I've ever seen that look on his face coming into a fight, almost as if he's surveying this situation, saying, I've been here before. I want to drink this in now, because who knows how many more times I'll have it.
I don't know if we should perceive it as worried, pensive, or focused. Tough to tell what's going on inside his head. The irony, he was always called the blown-up cruiserweight. Tonight he's fighting a blown-up cruiserweight. For once, Holyfield isn't the smaller fighter. Tail of the tape, of course, Holyfield's age jumps out. 41, October the 19th. Holyfield with the height and reach advantages. Big issue, Tony's weight. He insists it's natural. Will it impact the outcome? And the key rules for this heavyweight fight. No standing 8 count, no 3 knockdown rule. A fighter cannot be saved by the bell in any round. If an accidental headbutt occurs before the end of the 4th round, the fight is ruled a no decision. If it happens after the end of round 4, they go to the scorecards. Could be significant, knowing Holyfield's reputation of headbutting. So here at the Mandalay Bay, we're getting ready for Evander Holyfield versus James Toney, scheduled for 12 rounds. Let's get the official introductions from a ring announcer, the classy Jimmy Lennon Jr.
Ladies and gentlemen, a very good evening to you, and welcome to the beautiful Mandalay Bay Resort and Casino here in Las Vegas, Nevada. It's time for our featured bout of the evening, brought to you by Goose & Tudor Promotions in association with the Mandalay Bay, the undisputed king of beers, Budweiser, and Showtime. This bout coming away is sanctioned by the Nevada State Athletic Commission. The chairman is Dr. Luther Mack, commissioners Dr. Tony Alamo, Skip Avancino, John Bailey, and Dr. Flip Pomansky, with the executive director Mark Ratner. Our physicians at ringside, Dr. Margaret Goodman, Dr. Jeff Davidson, Dr. William Berliner, and Dr. David Watson. Timekeepers at the bell, also keeping count of the knockdowns, we have Jane Broadfoot and James Cavan. Introducing our 3 judges scoring this bout from ringside. All 3 are from Las Vegas, Nevada. We have Dave Moretti, Jerry Roth, and Paul Smith. And our 3rd man in the ring, the referee in charge of the action, he'll be giving instructions after the introductions, Jay Nady. All right, fans, here we go with our main event of the evening. 12 rounds of boxing scheduled in a heavyweight special attraction. And now, ladies and gentlemen in attendance and boxing fans joining us around the world, live from the Mandalay Bay, it's showtime! Introducing to you first, ladies and gentlemen, on my left, fighting out of the blue corner, entering the ring wearing dark green trunks with white trim, and hailing from Detroit, Michigan. He weighed in at 217 pounds, a veteran of 14 world title appearances. His record stands at 66 wins, 4 losses, 2 draws, with 42 wins coming by way of knockout. Tonight, challenging the odds as he steps up to the heavyweight division, here is the former IBF middleweight world champion, the former IBF super middleweight world champion, and the current IBF cruiserweight champion of the world. Ladies and gentlemen, introducing James Lights Out Toney. And his opponent across the ring on my right, really needing no introduction the world over, fighting out of the red corner, wearing purple trunks and black trim, representing his hometown of Atlanta, Georgia. He weighed in at 219 pounds with a record of 38 wins, 6 losses, and 2 draws. He has 25 wins coming by way of knockout. Ladies and gentlemen, here is the former undisputed cruiserweight world champion, the former undisputed heavyweight world champion, and the one and only 4-time heavyweight champion of the world. Please welcome boxing's true warrior, introducing Evander, the real deal Holyfield. Once again, a referee in charge is Jay Nady. Now to give instructions, 12 rounds of action scheduled.
Gentlemen, I gave you instructions for the dressing room. You have any questions? Okay, the belly button's the demarcation line. Let's touch gloves and go to work. Good luck.
Would we even be here tonight fight if not for the current state of the heavyweight division. That said, when you look at both guys together, the physical difference is immediately apparent. Holyfield really does look bigger. Nearing 20 years as a pro, still looking phenomenal. Tony's desired weight, as mentioned, was closer to 200, came in closer to 220. Was that because for the first time in his career he didn't have to make weight? Did he train any differently to bulk up? Did he spend too much time promoting the fight? The extra weight may help him on the inside against a strong guy like Holyfield, but will it affect his speed and quickness, which he's been saying all along will be the difference in this fight? He wants to keep a fast pace, does Tony. Bottom line, what kind of shape is Tony in? We'll soon find out.
Well, the first punch of the fight for Evander Holyfield was what? A left hook. So
there's a surprise.
Yeah, he knows he's got to throw that punch, and he must use the jab. Part of the problem with that, oh, there it is again.
And that is his best punch.
It is, and the jab has been missing from the Holyfield arsenal in recent fights because he said he can't keep the hand up because the shoulder bothers him so much. He has to let it lay down, and he can't throw the jab. We'll see in this fight whether it's back.
There's a wild left hook attempt there by Holyfield. That missed. Holyfield would flat out beat up opponents early in his career. These days priding himself on ring smarts.
Stop. Let go.
Adjustments on the fly, which really came to light in the first meeting with Mike Tyson. Has he discovered already the answer to Tony's style? Holyfield with an overhand right.
James Toney is a very good defensive fighter, but the way you beat him is you do throw that hook, and there it is. Holyfield knows what to do, and he's doing it here in this round.
On the inside, a very effective left hook by Holyfield.
And let's make another important point here early, and perhaps James Toney will make a liar out of this point. He's never been hit by a guy that hits like Evander Holyfield.
And Toney has never been seriously hurt in his career. He's never been stopped. He's only been down a couple of times. The last time was 1994 with Roy Jones.
And of course, as we point out, the people he's been fighting were middleweights, super middleweights, and then of course up to cruiserweight. Vasily Girov, while he was very busy and very aggressive in their last fight, threw many arm punches.
And of course, he's been through a lot of wars in the Kronk gym, probably against bigger guys. You wonder if he's ever felt the power of an Evander Holyfield. Although Holyfield, throughout his career, not really known as a knockout puncher, but he made up for that with heart and courage and guts. But he's a bruiser. He's very rough on the inside, accused by many of using roughhouse tactics. That's a heavy right hand, a short, crisp right hand to the head by Holyfield.
And if you're looking for signs one way or the other, not only is it good for Holyfield that he's thrown the hook so much, he's even getting the right hand in. You don't normally land that against Tony.
And Holyfield is picking off shots defensively by Tony. A very good first round for the legendary Holyfield, who just made Tony buckle with a body shot just before the bell.
That was a picture-perfect first round for Evander Holyfield. Look at the size difference between the two men. It is really graphic. And here we will see Holyfield ripping the hooks. He comes here with an excellent hook right to the face of James Toney. It's a short one and gets in, and it was a weapon that he used. So far, that repaired shoulder is working. We take yet another look at it. And what makes this special is it was a very short, compact punch. And this is the end of the round where they were rumbling a little bit after the bell. Again, the hook is in by Holyfield and may have buckled Toney, and James Toney taking umbrage at the fact that something may have come after the bell.
Certainly not the same Evander Holyfield we saw in his last fight against Chris Bird, when he looked very sluggish and mistakenly tried to match wits with the slickster Bird. He is very aggressive and attacking James Toney, and he comes off a terrific opening round.
Holyfield threw nearly 30 left hooks, well over 26 left hooks in the first round. So here's a guy who now finally has that weapon back again and is using it with great dispatch.
Tony trying to get into a rhythm here, starting to throw that left, misses with the right. Tony jabbing more now and using his crafty defensive skills. He is a great counterpuncher. What I'm seeing out of Holyfield is here he's fighting in sustained fashion. He is not fighting in spurts. He's not just trying to steal things.
One of the weapons that Holyfield's not using yet is the jab. Tony's jabbed a little bit better, and there you see Tony trying to use the jab upstairs, downstairs, and then go upstairs.
There's a beautiful jab stuffed in there by Holyfield.
That was okay.
That was not a low blow, says Jay Nady, by Evander Holyfield.
James Toney wants this fight in the center of the ring. You can see he is trying desperately to stay off the ropes. He knows that's a real danger area for him. And he realizes it more now, Steve, after the first round in which he was in that position and couldn't counterpunch like he normally does and was hit with big hooks to the body and the head.
Stop! Break! Let him go.
I like the way Holyfield is setting his distance. And he's trying to throw as Tony gets ready to throw, which was a device used very successfully against a fellow named Mike Tyson in that great first fight.
Tony being more aggressive, though, here in the second round, starting to get some of his punches off, a slight subtle change. He's able to land a little bit.
And he's getting a little more cutesy now. That's his style, that tricky sidestepping, slipping, the shifting.
Nothing low, Evander.
Now, Holyfield's doing a good job committing to the body.
Stop! Let him out, let him out. Had one low there, keep it up.
But at least in round two, Tony has found a home for the jab, an occasional hook, an occasional right hand. And certainly made it a much closer round. And Holyfield has been more inactive.
Now Holyfield, yes, more measuring. The work rate has really gone down since that big first round. Nice quick left hook to the jaw by Tony. A crisp one. That caught Holyfield with his defenses down.
Tony making Holyfield miss a lot more in this round and maybe doing enough to steal this round.
Holyfield missing, but he got him on the inside with a left hook uppercut. A better round for James Toney, round two. But the crowd getting behind Holyfield at the end.
Come on. Come on. Good show.
Good job. Okay. Deep breath. All right, now JT, he's trying to steal the round in 30 seconds. All right, he's doing nothing. He's trying to steal the rounds on you, right? Don't let that happen, okay? When you hit that 10-second bell, you're going to pick it up from me, okay? Okay. You're controlling him.
Holyfield anxious to work the body. And that one, right on the border. And then he tries to double with it over the head of Tony. James Toney had his moments, a lot of moments in that last round, actually. And you're not supposed to be able to hook with a left hook artist. Well, he did it right there and got away with it. Shades of some of the hand speed that Tony hopes will be his calling card during this match.
And we enter round three, scheduled for 12, a heavyweight non-title bout. Holyfield sticking the jab, and it's effective. Let's see if he follows it up with the right.
Stop!
Of course, his key combination, as Alice pointed out, the double left hook to the body and to the head. And so far, that left hand seems okay after the shoulder surgery.
You know, Holyfield landed that big right. You very seldom do that against Tony. Yes, he's throwing left hooks, but there's one small element missing from what Evander Holyfield is doing. He's not taking that step to the left. When you don't do that against Tony, you miss with the hook, and he's doing that more in the last two rounds.
And Tony is as good a counter puncher there is in the sport today.
Nice body work downstairs by Tony.
Step back.
Let's not forget Holyfield's age. He's 41 years of age. You can't always sustain what you want over the course of a round when you're 41. And here comes Tony back again.
Tony with the nice long jab, but one and done.
excellent right by James Toney, a counter punch. And this fight is now settling into what we thought it would be for however long it lasted. And that was two men pot-shotting each other and right in front of each other, throwing and landing. Holyfield told us at our meeting with him that he would try this several times during the fight, try and get Toney, lure him in so he could counter him, and that's what he's trying to do now. Tony's not getting hit with any counter punches, he's actually landing a few of his own, including that beautiful left hook on the inside.
Toney acknowledging something to his corner.
And then he got hit with a combination because of it.
Don't hold. Watch your head, Evander. Watch your head. Stop.
Well, you know the history of Evander Holyfield as far as the head is concerned. Mike Tyson, John Ruiz, Asim Rahman could tell you about it. Left-right combination upstairs did have full impact by Holyfield.
It is very hard to hit Toney with a perfect right hand.
Stop. Man, you got to keep your head away from his head.
Jane 80 warning Holyfield about the head, jumping right on that issue. Of course, a lot of fighters complaining that Holyfield is dirty. Others say it just gets rough on the inside, and that's the kind of fighter he is. Toney said he's very prepared for that, and he just wipes off the sweat off his shoulder as if to say to Holyfield, "You're not hurting me."
A confident James Toney to this point, that's for sure.
He is gaining in confidence.
Breathe.
Inside, bend your legs. Get some torque in that left hook. Short. Short.
Real effective on the outside. You don't got to go inside with him.
He's standing up straight when you're throwing your hook. That's why he's getting under it. Bend your legs. When you hit these corners, watch for his overhand right. He threw it one time.
Early in the round, James Holyfield was able to do something you seldom can do against Toney, land a good right hand, but you see how well Toney slips these punches. This is where you got to step to your left and crank left hooks. Holyfield couldn't do it. And later on in the round, dare I say, the hand speed of James Toney, which is apparently at this juncture a little better than Evander Holyfield. No matter what pounds he's fighting at, the right hand gets in. Toney's hand speed is making a difference right now. I'm not saying it's dazzling at this point, but it's certainly better than Holyfield's.
Tony's motion toward his corner was actually directed toward the judge over there, we are told, in trying to indicate to the judge that he hit Evander Holyfield. He's working the judges. Toney unleashing a right.
Let go, don't hold.
He may have hurt Holyfield.
Combination, the left hook, effective on Holyfield's head.
Look how low Holyfield's hand is, Steve.
Toney continues to have success here at the beginning of round 4. He's landing. Now the infighting as Toney backs off, gets himself some leverage, and fires the straight right. That's your head,
Evander.
Toney looking a lot better since the first round.
Holyfield is doing what he did against Bird, coming inside and smothering his punches. Could that mean the left shoulder's bothering him again? He can't keep the left up. That's when he does it. When he can't keep that left up and jab his way, he has to come inside. And he's kept the left low, and Toney's hit it with right hands.
It might be affecting him negatively, you're right. And when you're almost 41 years old, those problems can crop up in a second. Back comes Holyfield.
Well, now it's what we thought it was going to be, isn't it?
It's a slugfest.
The defense of Toney right now is excellent, though.
The war on October 4 living up to its billing now.
And Holyfield's doing the right thing by working the body of Toney. If you can't hit him in the head, go to the body, because this is a 12-round fight. He weighs 217 pounds. You want to slow him down.
All right, stop.
Toney hoping that Holyfield punches himself out. Under a minute left.
Watch your
in
head.
an action-packed fourth round.
Evander. Let go.
That right hand by Holyfield got in there very well against Toney. Now, does Toney think he's punched himself out? Will he try and come back now?
Toney with a very fast pace. And he's a lot busier now. Crisp left hooks. 3 in a row unanswered. A right uppercut on the jaw by Tony on the inside.
Work out of there. Don't hold.
4 good shots by James Toney during that sequence.
You can't push him around with your head.
Jay Nady again cautioning Holyfield to be careful with the head. That left hook blocked by Holyfield.
A very interesting round to score.
Time!
I thought it was another good round for Tony.
Here's my bucket. Jesus Christ. Deep breath. Okay. Very good, James. Right here.
Tony got against the ropes, and of course he wants to smother the punches of Holyfield and land his counter punches. There's Holyfield working the body. Tony himself coming back, that's what he does. He counters off those ropes effectively. Holyfield getting some of those shots in well, some being blocked. This is vintage James Toney. And look at him, land the uppercut. It is so hard to hit him when he's in this posture, and you see actually a lot of Holyfield's punches not getting in there, even though he did land some. That is quintessential James Toney.
Holyfield has a fight on his hands here with James Toney. As we head into round 5, scheduled for 12. Toney now brimming with confidence, tripling up on the left, firing a straight right. And Toney is getting off first. There's a big overhand right to the chin, a left hook to the other side of Holyfield's face. Flicking the jab, doing it all, twisting and turning. James Toney all of a sudden seems to have Holyfield in his pocket. Oh, what a heavy right hand showing the chin of Holyfield. Big shot by Toney. Another one over the top.
That left of Holyfield's has gone so low. The lead right by Toney is a slam dunk for him.
Press row scoring. It's all not enough.
I have it 3 rounds to 1, but the 4th round, a very close round, and I could see it being even after 4 rounds. That is not out of the question. That 4th round was a close round.
Watch your head, Evander.
Toney off to a tremendous start in this round.
I'm of the belief Toney is slightly ahead at this point.
Now Holyfield, when he's on the inside here, should be taking that step to the left and making it work. Instead, it's Toney with the double left hook. James Toney is hooking with the left hook artist, and if anything shows that he's in control of this fight, that is it right now.
Defying, don't hook with a hooker. That extra weight is not affecting Toney's quickness or speed with his hands whatsoever. Again, doubling up with the left is James. Beautiful combination upstairs by James Toney, a countering right, but Holyfield couldn't connect. Interesting, we have role reversal here. Toney getting off first, and Holyfield doing a lot of counter. Toney's known as a superb counter puncher. Oh, what a zinging straight right hand to the head of Holyfield. James Toney continues to score.
Holyfield is waiting for that to counter, but the problem is he's getting hit, and his hand speed isn't up to the task right now, and he's not getting to the left where he can land that hook. And this is becoming a replay of so many previous James Toney fights where fighters stand on his right side and can't land any punches. It's a footwork issue for Holyfield now as much as anything. Look at him. He's in the wrong position. He can't get that hook in. Now he moves to the left.
Big flurry at the end of the round by Holyfield, but once again, a big round for Toney.
Here is where the left hand is low. A right hand will come across from James Toney. That left hand staying very, very low by Evander Holyfield, and he can't block the right hand. And the combinations from James Toney. One of the keys to victory. He had to throw more than one punch at a time. He's doing it. He said Holyfield's, oh my God, he sticks his tongue out at Evander Holyfield. He said Holyfield would be available for these punches, and so far he has been.
Going backwards. Work that jab, bumping backwards and banging. Let's go. Use that left hand.
Evander Holyfield with an incredible look of concern on his face, perhaps underestimating James Toney.
And let's remember, he's just short of his 41st birthday. And at a certain point, athletes can wear down.
And athletes, particularly fighters, can get old. They turn old in one night.
You know, after a textbook for, oh,
what a body shot by Toney. And you saw the reaction, the grimace of Holyfield.
It was a perfect first round for Evander Holyfield, and since then it has been all James Toney.
Now again, Toney motioning over, I can only assume to the judge, who is smiling.
Stop. Let him out.
To tell him once again, I connected with a punch, just in case he didn't see it.
You know what? Doesn't he know we're supposed to do the commentary? Wow, he is just devastating Evander Holyfield now, and Holyfield with no answers. And let's say this about James Toney. He told us, I'm going to throw combinations. I will have hand speed in this fight. Don't be deceived by the fact that I've got big arms, that I weighed more than everybody thought I should. And so far, and we say so far, he's followed through on his promise.
Well, to this point, that is true. It is very easy to say that the extra weight
Evander,
is
don't
having
butt him.
no negative effect on James Toney.
And Holyfield smothering himself, doing exactly what he did against Chris Berger. What the reason for that is, I don't know. Is it because the arm hurts and he can't get it up? And, you know, you throw the jab. It's very low right now. Whatever the reason, he is not fighting a smart fight right now. Not a good strategic fight and not a very active fight. And again, I've seen James, I've been on broadcast 15 or 20 James Toney fights. You got to get to your left and rip punches, and right now he's not doing it.
Toney just digging in with left hands to Holyfield's body. Has to be wearing Holyfield out. Holyfield with tremendous guts, plowing forward. And now hanging out.
Let him go. Let him go.
Holyfield starting to really show the wear and tear and the exhaustion. Oh, what a right hand by Toney. And then eluding the comebacker, the left hook try by Holyfield.
Stop. You got to watch banging him. You're hitting him.
That looked like a use of the head by Holyfield. Jay Nady gave him another caution, might take a point away. I have to tell you, there's another factor to this. James Toney's hit Evander Holyfield with, I guess, is almost the best punches you can throw, and Holyfield hasn't gone anywhere, which is pretty interesting.
Now he's going backwards, but he swings wildly, Holyfield, and misses. Perhaps out of frustration, going back to the headbutting.
Bell! Thank you.
Busy on the inside, Holy. Just punch it over his head, punch him under, push.
The combination punching by Toney is simply too much right now for Holyfield. Talking to the judge and saying, hey, I landed that shot, and then watch, I'm going to land some more. I mean, that's bravado like you wouldn't expect to see in this fight. The right hand's been a very important weapon for Toney, and look how he slips those punches. He's a very good defensive fighter, and here's where they caution. Well, that, you know, Holyfield dipped his head and banged Toney and did it again. So Jay Nady correct in giving him a warning, and I think a point deduction soon wouldn't be bad.
In almost whispering tones in the Holyfield corner, Don Turner, who's been with the Real Deal 7 years, told Holyfield, You got to get busy. He's punching over, so you punch under. Let's see.
Well, it may be too late in terms of stamina and all the rest of it for Holyfield to change his game plan. He may have to feel, and it may be that he's going to have to land something that hurts James Toney. And remember, in the first round and a half, he did land some big shots, and apparently they didn't hurt Toney.
Toney is so bubbling with confidence right now. He strutted back to his corner.
Keep your head back.
That last sequence was this fight in microcosm. Holyfield landed a right hand, wasn't perfect, came with the left hook, which was blocked, came with another left hook, which Toney slipped. That is what he's facing.
Don't hold, don't hold.
Scores unofficial at the halfway point.
Don't hold, let go, hold.
Here's your press row, people. They've got Toney now inching ahead. Remember, it was all tied up earlier after 4, and through 6 they've got Toney up a couple of points.
I have Toney ahead by I am winning every round since the first. The fourth was very close.
So you have a bit of a bigger disparity than the judges along press row. Midway through the 7th round, momentum swinging early after a good first round by Holyfield. Toney coming out very strong. No knockdowns. Holyfield looks tired.
He is fighting in spurts. He is not fighting full rounds. And that has been symptomatic of what has caused his problems in the last 5 or 6 fights, and it's continuing here tonight.
A booming right hand to the head by Toney. And Holyfield just stands there and absorbs it. He's absorbed a lot of punishment tonight at the hands of the smaller James Toney. But he keeps on fighting.
Watch your heads. Watch your heads.
Not enough punches coming from Evander Holyfield, and we don't know at this juncture if he can hurt Toney with a big shot.
Toney just too fast for him, too quick.
Stop, stop.
Elusive defensively.
Banging on it. Go.
Evander Holyfield, who is on that crusade to become undisputed champion once again. You have to wonder about that after this performance tonight against a cruiserweight champion.
Deep breath. Yeah, boy.
You have to go get Holyfield.
Good job, son. James, beautiful, beautiful. Get that. That's the way. Keep turning this guy for me, okay? All right? All right, you land those shots, don't stand right. He's giving you the ball. Take it. Go. Take it. All right, let him breathe.
Champ, you gotta push yourself now.
Just hold your mouth open. Breathe normal. I think that's 8 coming up.
Yeah. You continue.
Toney promised us he would beat Holyfield to the punch. He has done that. You notice Holyfield throws the hook, but it's blocked by Toney. Look at the defensive moves of James Toney. He says he's a throwback. He is that.
An aficionado of legends like Ezra Charles and Sugar Ray Robinson, now looking to end the career of a legend in Evander Holyfield. But you get the feeling in listening to Holyfield, Al, that even a loss tonight, big right hand by Holyfield out of nowhere, countering right hand by Toney. You get the feeling after listening to Holyfield, even with a loss tonight, he won't step away from the sport. It is going to take a freight train to hit him.
Well, we'll see. Based upon this performance, he is certainly not doing well. You know, Toney, his old trainer Bill Miller showed him all those films of Walcott, Ezra Charles, and a fighter who he really reveres, Rocky Marciano. And he is not fighting like Rocky Marciano because it's all about hand speed and combinations of defense, but I'll tell you what, he's showing that kind of grit and determination.
He reveres Marciano because he was a small heavyweight. Now this is vintage James Toney. He does his thing, steps back, admires, and then comes fourth again.
He's had, I mean, the Giroff fight and this fight and one or two before that is the best he's fought in over a decade. It's fascinating. It's as if a light switch came on, and even though he hasn't lost since 1997, Tony, he hasn't performed well.
Now he's getting really cute. He's got to be careful sticking out his left arm.
He's getting hit by Holyfield, but apparently not being hurt, and that's a news story. Look at him.
He's looking at the judge again. The judge is laughing.
And Holyfield whacked him with 3 good punches.
Watch your head, please.
Tony's co-pilot in the corner, Freddie Roach, up to this point, really likes what he sees.
Watch your head, please.
You know, Evander Holyfield's not a bad heavyweight puncher. He's knocked some people out. And one thing you don't lose even with your age usually is the power you do have. He's hit James Toney with some very nice shots. And none of them have made a huge impact. And we say that because that leads us now to talk about James Toney, the heavyweight. Does this mean, based upon this performance so far, that James Toney can take some pretty good heavyweight punches? It may well.
There's a little trickle of blood from the lower lip of Evander Holyfield. As Toney continues to press forward, Holyfield trying to escape the ropes, which he does. And blood now coming down heavier from the mouth of Holyfield.
And he can't answer.
That was an opportunity to answer right there. Toney with a wild right hand, he left himself wide open, and no counterpunch by Holyfield. He just stood there. Again, nothing. Comes back with a couple of soft left hands. And no effect on Toney. Toney stares him down. And again struts back to his corner.
Hey, hold it, listen. Let me tell you something. Listen good to me. If you don't stop getting hit with them right hands, I'm gonna stop this fight, man. You hear what I'm telling you, man? You gotta take charge, man. I care too much for you to see you be getting hit with these right hands.
That's exactly right.
Right on.
You,
Getting hit with right hands that you shouldn't be getting hit with. Okay? You gotta go.
you want another round?
You want another round?
Okay, well, fight then. Fight then, man.
Come on, let's go, man. Get him out of here. Get him out of here. Come on. Put it out. Put it out.
You gotta put out, man. Come on.
A dramatic, perhaps sad moment there in the corner. Don Turner urging Evander Holyfield, showing compassion for Holyfield's health and welfare.
That's one of the most poignant moments I remember in a boxing corner in a long time. And let's see what happens.
Telling Evander Holyfield, you continue to get hit by these right hands, which you just got hit by again. There it is again. I'm going to stop the fight. Holyfield, never a quitter. He's just going to stand in there. He didn't really respond. Did you hear him say anything?
No, he kind of shook his head out. He said something about I'll do it, but I don't know. It wasn't with conviction.
It was with soft tones.
Thank you. Now we can box.
No quit, of course. And Evander Holyfield, as you check out the press row scoring, it continues to widen for Toney. Oh, there's a short left hook. Another one by Holyfield. Oh, he's trying.
He's hitting him with hooks. Now, they're partially blocked, and that's not hurting James Toney.
He's going for it all here. He's throwing it all at Toney now.
You just can't back him like that.
He's looking for a Hollywood turnaround, a dramatic turnaround, Holyfield. He knows.
That was what he had, and for the first time, you saw him hold on. This fight could be moments, or at least a minute or two away from ending, yes?
We may be seeing the end of an era. It's going to be ruled a knockdown.
4, 5, you okay? 6, are you all right? 7, you sure you're okay? Come to me. 8.
And I think they've thrown in the towel. Don Turner has thrown in the towel. No disagreement whatsoever from referee Jay Nady, and it's over. James Toney has stopped Evander Holyfield.
Okay, lift it in. Lift it in. Put it in.
words of James Toney into the ear of Evander Holyfield. I love you.
Sometimes it's hard to be a gracious winner when you've had all that bravado.
Need some water, man?
It's best, man. I did what I thought it was best, man.
Don Turner acting out of compassion and love.
You knew all along you would do it.
For Holyfield.
That's right in front. That's going big time.
And no argument from the real deal. He was getting punished round after round by this man, James Toney.
Did he ever hurt you?
Big right hands, left hooks, and so elusive defensively. And he was getting off first most of the time.
James Toney made a statement in one sense. Yes, it's true. Evander Holyfield got
Detroit, baby, Ann Arbor.
Detroit, man.
One time, baby. You know what I'm talking about? That's how we do it.
A heavyweight coming out party for James Toney.
Nobody do it like that.
Jimmy Lennon Jr. has
another Southern brother
the details.
in the ground, baby. They can't deal with me. Nobody do it like this.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have the time. 1 minute, 42 seconds in round number 9. Our referee in charge, Jay Nady, recognizes the corner and agrees. He stops the contest. The winner by way of technical knockout, James Lights Out Toney.
Toney becomes only the second man to stop Evander Holyfield. The only time before this was against Riddick Bowe.
And how much bigger is Riddick Bowe? Granted, it was years ago and it was Evander Holyfield in his prime. How much bigger is Riddick Bowe as a man normally than James Toney? That's truly astonishing. And James Toney made good on his promise. And that man, a legend in the sport, could be headed to retirement.
It was the third fight with Bowe, a TKO round number 8. Let's go to Jim Gray.
All right, thank you very much, Steve. James, congratulations on the fight tonight. Were you simply just too quick and too fast for Evander Holyfield?
I'm too quick and too fast for anybody to step in the ring with me as a heavyweight. That's the bottom line. You know, Jim, I don't know why you come up here. Don't come up here and try to give me no badass questions, try to degrade me. I would think the guy, think the man was still.
Question's legitimate. Were you too quick?
Evander Holyfield was a great fighter. Don't diminish that at any time. Holyfield's a great warrior. He came to fight. Bottom line.
Did he ever hurt you?
Who's next? I got milk, baby. Who's next? My mom, Sherry, Uncle Larry. Oh, everybody love y'all.
Did he ever hurt you at any point tonight?
Bob Scott. No, he never hurt me, man. I'm indestructible. Don't forget that when I'm ready, I'm indestructible, baby. I'll fight anybody out there anywhere, anytime. Next. Next. Who's next?
Detroit, baby.
Detroit. I don't care. Whoever Dan Goose line up, that's who I'm knocking over next. Bottom line, Goose and Tudor, we're #1. We're taking over the thing. You know that? Hey, my talent speaks for itself. I ain't got to answer nobody else's question. I'm going home. We're going to have a party. Oh, we're going to have a party. Everybody dollar me. If they don't want to respect me, fuck them.
You got your respect.
Excuse me.
You got your respect now.
You know, I don't want no respect. They ain't got to respect me. Bottom line, Goose and Tudor, Evander Holyfield's a great fighter. Hey, I watched him when I was a kid. I love the guy, but I had to do what I had to do. That's what I get paid to do. Bottom line, Detroit in the house. Emmanuel Stewart,
James,
I got your message, baby.
Let's try and have let's try and have a decent interview and a conversation here. Hold on a second here.
Jake, okay, come on, dog. Come on, champ.
Come on, let's go over to Evander Holyfield. Evander, Father Time just catch up tonight?
Well, no, he was able to get off before I did. He was, well, come on.
Ain't worry about it. Okay. Love you, dog, for real. Much respect to you. Much love, baby.
Go ahead.
Well, you know, the big thing is that he was able to get off before me. The time is a live ball, and he, you know, he got off before
Yes, James still thinks there's a fight in here.
I don't know. He got off before me. He was a lot quicker, and at times that I got him in a position to hit him, and his agility, a little too quick, too quick for me.
Evander, you knew you're now 2-8 in your last 8 fights. You've won 2 of your last 8 fights. You said before the fight that you would continue fighting. Your goal is to be the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world, that you'd have to be beaten up. Were you beaten up sufficiently tonight to stop fighting?
No. He won, and this is a fight that, you know, he got off before me and all that, and his punches, he hit one. It was just an overwhelming punches. He just got off before me, and he out-hustled me, out-pointed me, and he got to the position before me, and so, you know, it's just a guy just outmaneuvered me tonight, just from the start. He just.
How mentally difficult is it for you to be in this type of position, having been the warrior that you've been in the ring?
Well, you know, warrior is a person that don't quit, and it's not like I quit in there, even though he was. I was a step behind in everything that I did. He was able to get off before I was, and it's not so much that when the guy throwing, I guess, 3 times as much punches than you, and he beat you to the position and not maneuvering you pretty much the whole fight. This is what happened.
What did Don Turner say to you after he stopped the fight?
Well, he said he did what he had to do. He felt that it was right, and he didn't want to see me take any more punches, and he did what he felt that was right.
Let's take a look at the end of the fight, if we can see this right here, Evander. Tell us what's going through your mind here.
Well, you know, the thing is that he don't hit hard enough to. You're right there. Right there, it was just a number of punches, but I was off balance, and it was a good shot. It was a shot that knocked me down, but it wasn't, the shot that really hurt me, and it wasn't.
Will you go home to Atlanta now and evaluate just exactly where you are, and how long will that evaluation take?
Of course, I will go home and evaluate. I guess the most important thing in life is that when you don't do well, your first thought of the mind is just quit. So that's a part of life, and that's what everybody do when they have a bad performance. And of course, this is just a bad performance, and he was a better man tonight.
You have always been your own best equator, your own equilibrium inside. You've always known what was best. Will you listen now to others who may have your best interest at heart in this decision?
Well, I always listen. And the fact of the matter is that, I give thanks to the Lord, and, and I wish, I would go back and observe it. Right now, it's to make a decision now, it would just be an emotional decision. It's easy to say, I'm finished, I'm out of here, because, a guy like myself, this is something that usually don't happen. I don't usually have nights this often. And, just like I said, let somebody beat me up, then I said, the guy did beat me up today. I mean that he got the best, and he out-hustled me, he out-pointed me in every position, and I didn't use size, I didn't use anything as a measuring tool to do anything. So, I don't have no excuses. This left arm was fine. I didn't use it. My legs were fine. I didn't use it. I didn't use none of the things that naturally I would have used. And the one thing I was waiting on, as confident as he got, I've started seeing that he was getting open. And the big thing is when you hurt, this is time that you can really catch a person. I know I hit a lot harder than him, and it just, unfortunate they stopped the fight. But just the point he had me hurt, he opened up and throw big looping punches, and I felt that my better chance is that since he felt that he's hurt me and all that, I can catch him with a clean shot. He
couldn't quite do it.
Well, he had tremendous defense. He's, it's not like the guy don't have good defense. He's a good fighter.
All right, Evander, we appreciate your time tonight. Most gracious in defeat. You've been a great champion.
Thank you.
All right, Steve, back down to you.
Thanks, Jim. I think the most significant thing that he said there, at least to me, was it was just a bad performance. I think it was a lot more than just a bad performance. A lot happening here tonight, but you can't lose sight of the headline. Where does one of the all-time greats go from there? As you see the scoring at the time of the stoppage, all for James Toney, 4 points, only 2 points for Jerry Roth. The judge that he kept looking at, Paul Smith, had Toney winning by 4 points, but as we switch over to the press row scorers, Carlos Arias had Toney by 4. Mike Hersley had Toney by 4, and the same for Steve Springer. They were all in agreement as far as the victory for Toney is concerned. But I think the big picture, where does one of the all-time greats go from here? He's almost 41 years old. I think he really has to take a long, hard look in the mirror and closely examine his future as a result of this performance.
Well, and as we ponder that, this gives us a graphic example of why it's necessary for him to evaluate and think about where he's at. And I think most people would say the conclusion is inescapable. He made the key point to Jim Gray. His shoulder wasn't bothering him. He was able to use the shoulder. He just didn't. And that's what happens when you get too old to continue in boxing. He even made the point, it was a classic point, he saw shots available but couldn't get them in. And the third thing is, he did hit James Toney with big punches, and Toney just didn't go anywhere. So when you add all that up, it equals a 41-year-old fighter who just can't get the job done anymore.
Yes, indeed. He may fight again after going back to the Atlanta area and reevaluating, but for all intents and purposes, could he be done? This could be the last walk for Evander Holyfield.
And if it is, you can see the fans still filled with affection for him.
Affection, emotion, because they may be witnessing a little bit of sports history right here, if indeed it is the last walk for Evander, the real deal Holyfield. Sad in one respect, but not so sad in another, in terms of the health, welfare, and well-being of a human being.
Yeah, if he decides to get out of the sport, and truthfully, I've been loath ever to make a strong statement about a fighter needing to retire, but I think it's clear that Evander Holyfield needs to look in that direction right now, because he was dominated in this fight. And that's not to denigrate Toney, but he was dominated.
He brings grace and elegance to a sport that could really use a pick-me-up, a sport that has had its difficulty, particularly recently, in all kinds of areas. But as Evander Holyfield perhaps ponders his future, very quietly walks back to the dressing room, one of the all-time great fighters, and also just great for boxing. Let's go to Nick Charles.
Steve Farhood, when I look at Evander Holyfield, the most positive thing I could say is that he walked out of that ring tonight. Beyond that, it has to end badly when you stay too long. And he was just out of answers tonight. I thought that it's this cold reality of what have you done for me lately in the world of boxing. And as Jim Gray mentioned, 2 wins in his last 8 fights. Tonight, out of juice, out of fight, and I thought out of answers.
Well, in the 4th round, we saw Evander Holyfield age before our very eyes. It's as if it happened in a snap of a finger. He reminded me of Joe Louis when Joe Louis fought Rocky Marciano. Not only was he taking a beating, but he looked old. And